In this video, we have the patch 5.1 tier list. What's going on, ProGuides family? It's Sergeant Frost, and today we have the patch 5.1 tier list. There were a few notable buffs that happened to several agents in this patch, so you're definitely going to want to stick around to the end of the video to see where all the agents landed. Also, make sure that if you want to land in the rank of your desire this episode, then make sure to visit us at ProGuides.com, where our Radiant and Immortal level coaches are more than eager to help you out. The link is in the description if you're interested. Now, let's hop right into the tier list. Starting off the S tier, once again, we have Chamber. In the current state of the meta, there is not another agent that provides as much utility, kill pressure, and overall value than Chamber does. His ability to play a hybrid playstyle of a defensive sentinel while holding some insane firepower brings value to a team that no other agent can compete with at the moment. Chamber is an overall must-have pick on a team comp because he can hold down a site on his own. He's great on pretty much every map, and his kit is fairly simple to use and pilot for even novice players. Since Chamber has so much going for him, it's only right that he stays as the king in the meta for the time being. KO is in second place in the S tier for the start of this act, but he is quickly becoming a must-have agent on a team comp. Like Chamber, KO is useful on pretty much every map, so he's never a bad pick. KO also can play a hybrid playstyle of supporting initiator that uses his suppression to knock a bomb site offline, while also having the capabilities of an aggressive duelist since he can right-click his flash and molly to create space for his team. Since KO is the only agent with a crowd control that is suppression, you can expect him to stay relevant in the meta for a very long time, especially with how strong agent ability combos have become as the Valorant community improves. Fade going to the S tier this time around is a result of how top teams have now started adopting Fade in their team comps over Silva. Another big reason she's up here is due to the fact that her prowlers are extremely high value, and they can be used in many different situations for safe and quick scouting. It's a great tool to use to push out defenders from their hiding spots safely, and the prowler's HP is high, which makes it harder to kill them on pistol and save rounds. She synergizes with other agents like Raze with her suck and grenade combo, which puts her value above Silva since her synergy allows her to work well with more agents that are currently meta. Overall, Fade currently has a very loaded kit which makes her influence over a game quite high, hence the reason why she's becoming a big player in the meta and why she is now in the S tier. Welp, it was bound to happen. So why is Jett down in bottom S tier for the first time in a long time, you might ask? Well, let's explain. Currently at the highest levels and in pro play, it's becoming clear that Neon has become a strong replacement for Jett's speed. Neon's fast-paced play and the tools she has in her kit allows for quicker, safer, and more efficient entry and space taking for her team compared to what Jett was able to provide in the past. Another big thing to note is that Chamber has taken Jett's main AWPing role on a team comp, since he can be aggressive while still being safe with his TPs, and he gets an overpowered credit-free AWP in his ultimate. And then another reason for Jett's fall is that on some maps where Jett isn't amazing, Raze is starting to take priority due to synergies with Chamber and Fade. Jett is now falling a bit in the meta because some other agents can fulfill her roles in different ways. Jett is still a great agent to play in the meta, she's just facing a lot more competition from other agents on all fronts now. So what's the deal with Viper in the episode 5 meta? We feel that Viper is really strong, but she's not quite a meta-defining agent anymore. She doesn't create enough value for a team comp that a team needs to create and play strats around her. She has good utility and a great set of tools, but she's not as necessary to a team as some other agents have proven to be. Viper is niche to a few maps in the game, and it seems like she can be a staple on Pearl still, but her days as a lurk sentinel are starting to end as newer metas shift in. Neon is ever so slowly creeping up the tier list, and that's why she's becoming more prominent in the game's meta every single week. Neon is starting to replace Jett as the fast-paced main duelist who creates space for her team. Her wall, running speed, and stuns are just too much for some defending teams to handle on one bomb site. And when you combine that with the fact that 4 other players are running in behind her or supporting her entry, it's a difficult siege to stop. Neon is used a lot in pro play because it's much easier to pilot her with a coordinated team that can play off the openings and timings that she can create. She still can be used in solo queue, you just need to heavily communicate with your team what you're doing, so that way you don't overextend or end up getting no support while running ahead. Silva is starting to slip on the tier list because Fade and KO are heavily putting pressure on him in the meta. Don't misinterpret Silva falling on the list with him being bad. That's not the case at all. Silva still functions well as a capable info-gathering initiator. He just now faces more competition from the other initiators in the class. Both Fade and KO can gather information, and they have skirmishing potential because of the tools in their kit, which Silva does not have. It was a matter of time before Silva faced real competition, but he can still hold down his own when the right player plays him still. Raze is slowly starting to fill a niche role that Jett previously filled, which was explosive fast entries onto sites on smaller maps. But what makes Raze so much more potent in certain situations is her ability to synergize with top current picks in Fade and Chamber. Raze has the potential to nuke small parts of the map with her nade, which gives her almost a mini sentinel feeling. And paired with her boombot, she also has information gathering capabilities as well. Raze's satchel packs give her speed, maneuverability, and outplay potential that few agents in the game have. Raze doesn't have sustainability in her kit like the other duelists, which makes it harder for her to stay healthy throughout the entire round. but if she can do her job of getting in quickly and dealing massive damage even quicker, she is one of the scariest duelists to go up against in the current meta. Rounding out the A tier, we have Omen. His rework earlier this year put life back into him as an agent, which allowed him to come back into the meta full force. He obviously is not the go-to pick for every map, as the controller meta is much more fluid for different maps, but he still functions as the best overall pick in a lot of cases. Omen is a simple and easy to pilot agent, which makes him friendly to newcomers and very powerful for veterans to use alike. He also has some dueling capabilities because of his flash and the mobility he has with his ultimate and shadow step, which makes him a double threat as a controller agent. Yoru has become very strong as an agent ever since his rework, and now that his ultimate was changed to be more functional, he's gotten back some of his old playstyle before his rework, which allowed him to go out of his ultimate faster. Yoru in his current form has more tools to outplay people more now, but right now he's a big question mark in the meta. There's a chance he can be a factor in pro play, but he doesn't have a lot of representation from top players outside of solo queue right now, which essentially means there is a possibility for him to become big in the meta. We just need to see more of what he's capable of from top players in the world first. Brimstone became a much more useful controller after his rework earlier this year. His stim beacons allow him to give his team the boost needed to outgun a defending team when attacking, or allow his team to outmaneuver attackers when retaking a site on defense. Brim also has a huge plus to his kit that other controllers don't have, and that is his smokes being able to last the longest duration at 19 seconds, and the fact that he is the only controller that can smoke 3 positions at once. Brim being able to use 3 smokes at a time means that his kit is more inclined to do well when attacking than defending compared to some of his counterparts. What is there to say about Skye that hasn't been said in the past? Skye is a useful initiator. She can skirmish really well with her pliable flashes, and her dog is one of the best scouting tools in the game. Skye can also heal and scout enemies with her ultimate, which gives her great team comp overall value that not many agents have. But the problem with Skye is that after some nerfs she received last year, she was forced into a more passive initiating role over a duelist role that could play for herself. Skye doesn't have anything unique that made her more of a viable pick than other agents, which is why she's being picked less and less as time goes on. But she is still great for ranked if you want to carry initiator. A lot of people are under the assumption that Killjoy is a bad sentinel since she isn't used as much as in the past, and that cannot be further from the truth. Killjoy's role in a team comp is to be an anchor and a site denial agent. Killjoy may be in chamber shadow in the meta, but that doesn't prevent her from doing her job, which is preventing people from walking into bomb sites freely. The only caveat with KJ is that she works better on smaller maps so that her abilities have less ground to cover. She can watch flanks, deny sight, and play post plant with mollies, and she still has the best ultimate in the game hands down. KJ is still a fantastic pick for solo queue as a sentinel. Breach is an agent that struggles with identity because he only appears on certain maps. This is mainly due to the fact that his kit is more inclined to do well on certain types of maps than others, which is why he is seen a lot on maps like Fracture, Haven, and even Pearl. And that's why he's non-existent on maps like Breeze, Icebox, and Bind. Breach is a liability to his team because all of his abilities can negatively affect his teammates, which puts him at risk of throwing a round. But if you're in a 5-stack or playing in a coordinated team environment, he's a great skirmishing agent overall. Once again, Sage is down in the lower B tier, but that doesn't make her a bad agent. Sage is only down here because she's not as versatile or as overall useful as the other sentinels. She's great for healing, reviving, and temporarily stopping pushes with her wall and slows. But once her abilities are down, she doesn't provide any more useful utility to a team. In solo queue, her revive and heals are huge for fixing teammates' mistakes, but that isn't enough overall value to make her better than Chamber or Killjoy in the sentinel department. Phoenix is going into B tier as a result of his buffs. None of the changes were super high impact, but they did make his play smoother since his abilities became more functional. He doesn't have the capabilities to be a main duelist right now, but he can contest neutral zones and put pressure on sites better than before. His flash buffs gave him the potential to make faster plays and support his teammates in a more efficient manner now. Overall, Phoenix is usable again if you want to pick him up and run him in your games, but he's not the best overall duelist or main duelist for a team by any means. Cipher demoting to C is the result of him being neglected in the meta. Due to Chamber being better and KO being a meta pick and Fade becoming a main initiator, Cipher also has to deal with the fact that his trips can be destroyed by cheap utility instead of catching players off guard like it's intended to. Cipher doesn't have the overall usefulness that a Chamber, KJ, or Sage has as a sentinel. If you need a site denial agent, you are much better off with the other 3 over him unless you are already a Cipher main. Astra was nerfed hard in Act 2 of this year, and she hasn't been the same since. She's not completely unviable, as some teams do use her as a pseudo sentinel that uses her stun and suck as CC tools. But outside of having an off role that mainly focuses on using 2 of her abilities, she is clearly the worst of the 3 standard controllers, hence why she is in the C tier since her nerfs. I did never think I'd see the day, but Reyna is at the bottom of C tier on our tier list. There are a lot of things that happened that led to this unfortunate situation, but to keep it simple, Reyna is just bad compared to the other duelists. She doesn't provide utility to her team outside of a flash, she can heal and dismiss but she needs a kill to get a chance to use it, her ultimate can be a hindrance sometimes because the recoil is too much. There are so many strikes against Reyna now, it's hard to keep up. Reyna needs some ability changes in the form of a small rework soon, or else she's gonna fade into irrelevance. And with that being said, that's our patch 5.1 agent tier list. Let us know whether you agree or disagree in the comments. And if you enjoyed it, don't forget to like and consider subscribing. It's been Sergeant Frost, and good luck on the grind in this episode.